Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside episode 436 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains. And wow, what a weekend. Locked On Nodak Sens for me. We'll get into that. But it's an Ottawa Senators game day. Finally, just over a week later. Still a couple players in protocol. We'll have a full preview of tonight's game from the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado, against an Avalanche team that has won 4 straight and are 6-1-1 in their last 8 games. However, much like the Senators, they will also be without their best player. We'll have our Locked On Lookout, keys to victory. Hopefully we're not rusty like the Sens could be, because it's been a while since we've previewed live Senators hockey. Belleville got the win this weekend. Again, we'll touch on my weekend in North Dakota and a whole lot more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Today is Monday, November 22nd, and Pilsy, going into Colorado is a tough test at the best of times. What do you think the Sens are thinking right now? Still a little shorthanded.
Well, they're probably thinking at least we're getting back to hockey here. I mean, a week off, you're stuck in COVID protocol. We heard a lot about a couple of the guys that have kids. It's tough on their families. So at least you're hoping everyone's healthy. Guys are back on the ice practicing again, which is something they haven't done in a while. But you said it, they got their work cut out for them. Like, not only do you got a head on the road, you got all these guys coming back that haven't skated, haven't played in over a week, some of them more even. And then you got to do it on the road against one of the best teams in the NHL and at high altitude. So, like, the NHL, there's no helping along here. The schedule makers really didn't do the Sens any favors here. But like DJ Smith said, and he was very adamant about it, and I respect this, there's no excuses, right? You can sit there and make excuses, but at the end of the day, that's a loser mentality. And this team has got to shift out of loser mentality and start winning some games here, Ross.
Chelsea, we like to talk about revenge games on this show. It's a DJ Smith revenge game. He played 36 of his 45 NHL games with the Colorado Avalanche in the 2002-2003 season. But it is a very true thing he's saying there when it comes to no excuses. Yeah. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. Look at what the Islanders are going through. Similar to Ottawa, now they've got 8 players on protocol, and they played 13 straight road games before opening up their new building. Oh, that's a story for another day. But when you look at it across the league, you can't say, oh, this is against the Senators now. Other teams are going through the same thing. And Ottawa should just be thankful they don't have to go up against Nathan MacKinnon tonight. Not that that's slowed down the Avalanche, who are still rolling right now. We'll get into what they've been doing so far this season after a slow start too, right? The Avalanche got up to an extremely slow start, losing 4 of their first 6 games. And one of their 2 wins was in a shootout. So take that for a coin toss against Tampa Bay, mind you. But this is a team that can beat you so many different ways. Ottawa's going to have to really focus on their own game tonight. It's going to have to be quick, crisp breakout passes, stay out of the penalty box, and then try to get some quick whistles. Because if they get caught out for long shifts, I think that's where you're really going to see this extra time off go against them.
Yeah, I agree. You can't be having the long shifts here, especially in high altitude. Like, it doesn't make things easier either. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. And man, this Colorado Avalanche seem like they're built to go far into the season and far into the playoffs, right? But with no MacKinnon, Bowen Byram, I think, has been day to day. He didn't play against the Kraken on Friday, so we'll see if he's ready for this contest for the Sens' sake. Hopefully not.
Is that a revenge game?
I would say I think it's a revenge game for the Ottawa Senators, not really for Bo Byram. You know what I mean? Like, fair. Byram, he's like, whatever. But like for the Sens, you're like, hey, we got to make sure our fans don't think, hey, we should have grabbed this guy instead. But instead of Byram, your Senator selected Brady Tkachuk, the captain of your team. So fair. Not too many hard feelings there. We're feeling all right there. But the thing too is this is a top heavy team. Like the top guys, they always get their cookies. Like whenever there's points to be had, they're snatching them up. But there's some depth performances too. Like some of their young guys like JT Compher, these guys are starting to step into the league and starting to make a name for themselves. And Ross, I was looking at their stats for their team. They have 5 players scoring at a point per game pace right now. And I mean, it's pretty easy to guess which ones: Landeskog, Rantanen, Kadri, Cale Makar, and then of course Nathan McKinnon. So like this team just they know how to get it done, and they're going to be looking to take advantage of a Senators team that's coming off a lot of problems here and hasn't played in over a week.
And cherry picking a little bit here with the filter, but I mentioned they lost 4 of their first 6 games. So if you only start from after that stretch and you go into this recent 6-1-1 stretch that they're currently on, like Nazem Kadri to me jumps out the most because he was a guy who was targeted by the Sens. I even jumped on with Locked On Avalanche in the offseason and said what would be coming back if this could happen. It really seemed like there was some traction to it. You know that Nazem Kadri has 15 points in his last 8 games? This guy's clicking at 2 points per game. Forget about point per game status. 17 penalty minutes. Still doesn't know how to stay out of the box. But this guy is a complete beast out there. So you got to watch out for Kadri. And that's in an elevated role now with McKinnon out. So he steps up and really steps into that number 1 center role. And Gabe Landeskog, you know what he brings. And to me, a really interesting case study this year, again, like a quasi-Senator from the 3-way trade, is Samuel Girard, who initially went to Colorado from Nashville in that Duchesne trade. His season splits are absolutely they're a case study, as I mentioned here, for sure, because he started out so poorly, Pillsy. I'm pulling it up right now here. And his first month of the season, 2 assists in 6 games, -5. In his last 6 games, 7 points, +3. So it just shows you, like, they kind of live or die with these big name players, and that's fine. But they also have goaltending now, which I think was probably their weakest link in seasons past. When you look at, Grubauer, he was okay, but you're seeing kind of the true colors in Seattle, or maybe something in between, because you're going from the best team to expansion.
I was going to say.
Let's cut that right into the middle. But Darcy Kuemper has been one of the most underrated, unheralded goalies of this past half decade because he was buried in Arizona. But he's a great goalie. So Ottawa is really going to have to push here. And early is the key here, because if you're getting into a situation in the third period where you're going to have to push the ante and really kind of go out, this is a counterattack team. They're going to hurt you. And I think that this one, you don't usually say it when they haven't played in a week, but this is a schedule loss here for Ottawa.
Yeah, I think if the Senators lose this game, I don't think anyone in the hockey world is too surprised or upset or anything is really changing there. A couple things too, Ross. I think I'm not sure how long Bowen Byram's been out, but I'm sure his injury has had something to do with Samuel Girard getting an elevated role and getting more opportunities, right? So there's something there for him. And then as far as Grubauer goes, I feel like Grubauer gets a bad rap because it all comes down to what do the Avalanche do in the playoffs. And he's been injured, I think, the last 2 playoffs, right? But his regular seasons were incredible. Was it last year or the year before? He was one of the finalists for the Vezina. So it's not like he wasn't that great. And Darcy Kuemper, I think, is an amazing goalie, but the same thing with Grubauer. He's had injury problems as well, right? So the Colorado Avalanche, they need their starting goaltender to perform for them. And when the starting goaltender does, they dominate. But they haven't been able to find a real good backup. Even their backup this year, I think his name's Johansson from Buffalo. He's not doing so great when Kemper's not playing. So that's something that it'll be interesting to see, as teams, they like to use the backups up against the Senators. So we'll see who we get tonight.
I was just thinking when looking at that, Colorado would have been a prime candidate to scoop Forsberg up if Ottawa had placed him on waivers. Everyone wanted Gus to stay up. Yeah. That's a type of team here that might need a little more depth in between the pipes. As for Ottawa, still unsure, right? There was a flight day yesterday. We'll get to what the lines were at practice on Saturday. But right now, it almost feels like a full season reset, doesn't it, Pillsy? Like, nothing about that Sunday game last week should be talked about. It's a burn the tape game. Never want to hear about that 4-0 loss to Calgary ever again. So it's almost like a clean slate. 15 games into the season. They're clearly on a tremendously tough stretch here where, they broke the goose egg in the win column over that 8-game stretch. But now what? So let's see what they can do. And again, they're doing it without their best player. And I'm not even hesitating to call Drake Batherson the Senators' best player anymore. He's proven it time and time again.
This season, he's been their best player. Yeah,
correct. Right now, if you ask me as an outsider, who's the Sens' best player? It's Drake Batherson 10 out of 10 times. He just brings all the elements that you could hope for in a top-line winger, from hockey IQ to speed to power to skill. But he's not joining them on this trip at all. Now, Nikita Zaitsev is the only other Senator still in COVID protocol, and he will join them at some point. But right now, Lassie Thompson remains alongside Thomas Chabot. We'll continue to preview this game from a Senators angle. We'll get into our Locked On player to watch. And I went down to Grand Forks to the Ralph this weekend. So I'll let you know what happened there. Of course, Jake Sanderson did not end up playing in either game, but I still had a fantastic time. Now, today's episode not brought to you by BetOnline, but the odds always are, because it's the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network. Pilsy, the Senators on the money line tonight are plus 269.
I mean, that seems appropriate. What's the Avs money line there?
Minus 305. So if you're new to gambling, that means to win $100, you have to risk 305 if you're betting on the Avalanche to win. Even the Avalanche puck line is minus 127.
Oh my goodness.
Which, I mean, that's even a pretty decent line if you're just looking at money line for most times. So they're pretty much giving the Avalanche an extra goal here in tonight's game. For me, I'm looking at the over, though, at minus 114 at 6 goals.
Especially if the Avs play their backup, right?
Yep, that's just it. But if you want to catch this game, maybe you live out of region. Have you ever heard of Directv Stream? Because does this sound familiar when you've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you need to get your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff? Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle. It's a great way to get your TV together. It's called Directv Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. So you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all together in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to ever buy another device ever again. And the best part is there's no annual contract, so get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with Directv Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. That's directv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. All right, Pilsy. So it is a tough test tonight for the Ottawa Senators, who are right now, Pilsy, dead last in the National Hockey League in points with a big asterisk.
Yeah, sure. We'll hold on to that asterisk, Ross. We'll hold on to that for now.
I mean, the only team, funny enough, the only team to play less games than Ottawa is the Colorado Avalanche. They've only played 14 games. However,
what's the points difference?
They're nowhere near the bottom of the standings. Now, Ottawa currently sits in last place when it comes to points because the Arizona Coyotes have finally found a 2-game winning streak, which have the Senators had 2 straight wins this year?
Nope.
Yeah. All right. So still something to get a little later on in the season. Wow, that's really tough when you see Arizona, Seattle, Montreal, the next teams above them. However, Ottawa does have 3 games in hand on Seattle, 4 games in hand on Arizona, and
we got time.
5 over the Montreal Canadiens. I'd love to just finish ahead of Montreal. That's all I asked for. I'm a simple man. Just put them ahead of the Montreal Canadiens. All right. So I went to Grand Forks this weekend, and it is unbelievable. We're going January 14th. It's going to be
stoked.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Any Sens fan, if you can make the trip, I know it's not always easy to get there, especially from Ottawa. You're looking at like a 20-hour drive. It is absolutely worth it. Now, I was heartbroken when Jake Sanderson was out of the lineup, Pilsy. It was a last-minute call. I went up, and I had to see Schlossman for myself. I had to ask him. I said, you couldn't tip me off, man. Are you serious? But what an amazing building, an amazing atmosphere, and an amazing product on the ice. Now, I thought we were jinxes because on the Friday game, they lose 4-1. Empty netter. They lose 4-1. They actually scored first as I was getting to my seat because we went up to the press box. I'll get into some photos with some friends of the show a little later on. But we get to the seat, and it's already 1-0 North Dakota. And the only other pro game that my girlfriend and I had been to was Jets Islanders a few weeks ago, and the Jets got shut out. So it took until our third game together to see a goal for the team we were cheering for.
Yeah, so you're feeling pretty good at that moment, right?
Yeah, well, even that first goal, she went to the washroom with a minute left in the period. North Dakota scores with 5 seconds left in the second period, but then we were there for the game winner on Saturday. But when I said jinx, on Friday night, that was only their 5th loss at home in their last 39 games.
I was going to say in a long time, yeah.
They don't lose at home. There's a couple quirks about the Ralph that I absolutely love. I want you to tell me which one is your favorite. So at the start of every period, right when the pucks drop, the PA announcer goes, "All right, fans, let's play some old-time North Dakota hockey." And then the whole crowd chants, "Hockey, hockey, hockey, oi, oi, oi." And then they all stay standing until the first whistle. Everyone in the building stays standing. It's really cool. Then at the end of the period, you know how the PA announcer goes, last minute of play in the first period, final minute of play in the first period. Everyone in the crowd goes, "Thank you." And then the PA announcer goes, "You're welcome." It's nice. Fun, interactive stuff right there. But for me, I mean, there's 2 more, but for me, this next one's my favorite. The student sections, which are as rowdy as you could imagine.
Yeah,
they've got a full band back there, everything. They're right behind both penalty boxes. 2 sections right behind the penalty box. And if you're trying to picture the Ralph, 12,000 seats, 12,000 people in the building. And it's a town of 50,000. So that's crazy in itself. When a player from the opposing team gets a penalty, everyone points at him and then points at the box and chants, "You sit, you sit, you sit." And just like seeing everyone at the same time with the hand motion is absolutely incredible. So to me, awesome. that was my favorite for sure.
I like the hockey, oi,
yeah,
oi, oi. That's fun. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
One thing I got to ask you about too, Ian Mendez, he was describing the Ralph. Are the seats actually as beautiful as he described? Like wooden with like all of them are like cushion?
Yeah, well, Ian's a little bit of a different level. He was up in the press box for the game. I wanted to be among the fans.
Nice.
It's so, and classic North Dakota. You walk into the building and there's a huge sign that says "Mask optional." It's just as US as it gets. So to answer your question, yes. And the floors are all like marble in the concourse. And I get a text right before the game from Jake Brandt. If you remember, he was on the show during the pod in the NCAA last year. An absolute beauty. He's showing my girlfriend and I, because my girlfriend, of course, from Winnipeg, he's buddies with Bufflin. He's showing us pictures of him at Bufflin after he retired. Buff is just as big as you'd think he would be post-retirement. So he tells me to come up to the press box. I'll pull up a photo right there. We get up there. Alex Heiner, Mr. Talent himself. So it was great to see them, and Jake showed me around. We met Schlossman and all that. This is the outside of the Ralph. Like, does that look like a hockey arena? It looks like a
town hall. Like, that's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was $110 million to build in 2001, and then during the COVID pause, they put an extra 125 in to refurbish it.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you don't have to pay your athletes. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and you can't even get the athlete's name on the back of a jersey, Pilsy. You can't get current student athletes. Unbelievable.
Yeah, although, hey, you did get yourself one hell of a jersey, as fans can see that watching on YouTube in the background.
Yeah, right. I threw it right behind there, number 22. And if you don't know who that is, friend of the show, Shane Pinto. So I had to ask him, because white, black, or green, and they actually didn't have the lettering to do the green one, so it was between white and black. So I shot Pinner a DM, and he says, has to be black. Too clean. So what did I do, Pilsy? Just another reason to watch on YouTube. I just put a quick clip up of the Shane Pinto, the newest jersey in my collection. We're going to bring this back to the Senators. I can open and close, which is kind of nice. You've got the same frame as I do, Pilsy. We bought that together back in the heart of enemy territory. But I figured it was it was timely to put it up there. And how sick is this North Dakota sweater? Like, you kidding me?
Yeah,
Like,
just so
that's
simple,
awesome.
but so clean. Yeah, that's awesome.
And they had to change the name from Sioux to Fighting Hawks. The guy who built the arena, Ralph Engelstad, really liked Sioux. So he made sure that it was never going away. It's called the Sioux Shop. That logo from the front of the building is in every single corner of that arena. There has to be 100 of the Indian Head logo everywhere in that arena. It's quite a sight to see. And like we said, we can't wait to be there together. And I guess last but not least, so Chris Clevin, who's probably listening right now, absolute beauty. It's Tyler Clevin's father. And his partner, Chris Brandt, who was the one who tweeted out that video of Clevin just throwing the kid off him a couple weekends ago.
So good.
So I saw them after the game, and I guess they all kind of congregate where the players come up from downstairs after. So I'm chatting with him. He's asking me where my Built Bars are. I said, damn, I don't have any on me, but we'll bring Chris some Built Bars next time we go down. We have to. I wonder if we have to declare them at the border as a U.S. product itself from Salt Lake City. But Chris is awesome, great guy. And then Tyler came up. So got to have a quick chat with Tyler. No offense. I told him to his face, so I'll say it again. Maybe the worst 20-day mustache I've ever seen from Movember. I'm pulling up on YouTube. Clevin's got the Movember 20 days in this photo.
Yeah, hey, he's growing into his size facial hair wise. He's got the frame for defenseman, but the facial hair he's not ready for long playoff beards yet. So that's
not yet. But as you can see from this photo, I'm like right at 6'2", and he is towering over me.
Yeah, he's even leaning back, giving you a little extra height there.
I know. And he had just taken a photo with a young fan, which was really nice to see right before that photo. And I told him right before his dad was like, oh, let me get a photo of you two. And I was like, you don't have to bend down as much as you did with that. He was like way squatted down. So got a good couple laughs out of him. Got to meet his mom as well, which was really nice. So just an all-in-all great atmosphere, great game. And they got the win 2-1. Guess who gets the big block with 5 seconds left when Minnesota Duluth had the goalie pulled? Clevin clears the puck. Icing, we won't talk about that. But then face off, they lose it. Boom, huge block. Puck goes out.
K-train.
They get the win. So the K-train was good. He threw around a couple guys. No like classic train track hits, but he did use his physicality to his advantage. Unfortunately, again, Jake Sanderson out of the lineup. How tough was that?
I was really sad for you, not gonna lie. Like, obviously seeing Clevin is sweet, and you got to meet him and his family, so that's a great experience. But it's the Jake Sanderson show, and that's we've never been able to see him live, right? So that was the big intrigue there. So hopefully, I'm sure he will be with his rest and recovery schedule. Jake Sanderson will be healthy by the time we see him in mid-January.
Don't say that, because if it doesn't happen, Pilsy, like we might have to just camp out at La Quinta Inns. No free ads, but in Grand Forks. I'm pulling up their schedule right now because I'm curious if their first home game after, so next weekend. Oh no, they've got one more, but the World Juniors actually ends the day before, so I don't know if he'll be in the lineup. That could be the first game that both Sanderson and Clevin are back from the World Juniors that we're going through.
True. I never even thought about that, Ross. That's an oversight by us there.
No, but they'll be back by then, January 14th, and then we'll be seeing Sens at Jets on January 15th. And Pilsy, January 14th, teddy bear toss night at the round.
Yes.
So,
okay,
yeah.
I'll bring my teddy bear.
Yeah,
Sounds
we had a few of those at Belleville.
Belleville, yep.
They're always fun, and U of T from back in the day when we were there. So a ton of fun at the Ralph last weekend, and again, no free ads, but I ate my weight in chicken wings, to say the least, after both games. 2 huge beers and 20 wings for $30. God bless America.
What a life.
Am I right? And when you've had a weekend full of chicken wings, you got to get back exercising. When I exercise, what do I grab, Pilsy? What do I grab each and every time?
Well, just like Tyler Clevin's dad said, you're reaching for a Built Bar, Ross. And
yep.
Built Bar, that's a great option for traveling too. You really should have brought those, Ross, because nothing better. It's a road trip. You're tired. What's the classic thing? Oh, get over, stop for some beef jerky. Well, Beef jerky, sure you're getting the protein, but there's so much sugar, so much salt in those. You're basically going to destroy your teeth trying to rip it apart. Why not reach for something tastier and healthier, like a Built Bar, the protein bar that's tasting just like a candy bar. They got some delicious flavors. As you guys know, I'm going to pull up one of their newest flavors, and that's vanilla cream. So if you like chocolate and you like vanilla, this is a combination of both. All Built Bars are covered in 100% chocolate. You guys already know that. Check out the vanilla cream Built Bar, brand new. Only 140 calories, 17 grams of protein packed in there. And to make things even sweeter, guys, there's a discount that we can give you. Go to built.com. And since you're a loyal listener of the Locked On Senators podcast, and hey, Tyler Cleven's parents, this is a good way to try out some Built Bars. Use promo code LOCKED15, and you're going to get yourself 15% off your next order. So guys, check it out, built.com. Promo code LOCKED15. It's Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar.
All right, Pillsy. Yes, I'm so excited for January 14th. It can't come soon enough, but hopefully even sooner than that is the return of Jake Sanderson, because lost in all this, and I know people were tweeting at me as well, oh, that sucks. You went down to see Sanderson. He wasn't there. You know what sucks even more is being sick enough that he couldn't play. So we hope Jake Sanderson is on the mend. I asked Tyler about that. He said Wednesday and Thursday were real tough days for him, but he seems like he's on the other side of it, and I would expect him to be in the lineup next weekend when North Dakota hosts Minnesota, a huge rivalry series. Yep. The Minnesota Gophers, Chaz Lucius, passed on in the draft at 10th overall. Remember that? And then he's with Minnesota. So that's next weekend. Hopefully we'll be able to preview and take a great look at Sanderson in that 2-game series. It's the final home stretch at the Ralph before the World Juniors, which I'm sure the guys are going to be leaving to camp for that in early December. So we'll be keeping an eye on that and all Sens prospects. On Friday's Locked On Senators, we had a complete prospect update. Pillsy, something happened since then, though. Tyler Boucher, quick little suspension for him, 1 game. However, like the NCAA, and I saw it live this past weekend, they are, when they say no headshots, they mean it. Yeah. 4 different penalties in the 2 games I was at were reviewed for head contact. I didn't even know you could review penalties. They did it 4 different times, and twice they changed from a 2-minute penalty to a 5-minute major, and in one situation, kicked a player out of the game in the first period. So when they mean it when they say there is absolutely no room for that, and that's how Tyler Boucher earned a 1-game suspension.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we can sit here and be like, well, hockey's a tough game. These things are going to happen. But we're talking about college athletes and unpaid college athletes. So first and foremost, the safety of these kids is the most important thing, because a lot of these guys, most of these guys won't go on to have professional careers, right? Only a handful of guys make it to the NHL. So you don't want to have any unnecessary risks and stuff like that. So I agree. I think the sentiment is good, but it is a different style of hockey, that's for sure, especially when you're reviewing penalties constantly. So Tyler Boucher, that was a play that maybe he could have slowed up and held back a little bit there. He was coming from a far distance and caught a guy behind the net. But you know what? Tyler Boucher, we talked about it. He's not someone you're looking at the score sheet every night and being like, how many goals did he score? It's, was he playing tough? Was he playing physical? Was he playing on that edge? Was he causing havoc for opponents? Stuff like that. So same with Ridley Gregg. They're going to cross the line once, twice, hey, maybe even 3 or 4 times. But you want them to be playing, you want them to be flirting with that line, because that's when they're at their best. So once in a while, they're going to cross the line. Hopefully he learns from that and takes it easy next time he comes chugging down the ice for that kind of hit. But yeah, definitely something you want to see toned back just a little bit.
However, like, we got to see the full clip, and you can go to @Sens Prospects or follow us @Sens Central and see it. But honestly, I love that shift. Like, sure, he maybe got a little high on the second one, but in that 1 40-second clip, he had one big hit behind the net where his hockey IQ allowed him to go left and follow the player so that he met him as he turned behind the net to come out with the puck. Yep. Then goes on a back check, gets a steal, then gets a nice feather pass. This is all at full speed. And then when his teammate loses control of the puck, boom, he's right in there to separate. There was no penalty called on the play. It was after the game, gets a suspension. So I love the way Tyler Boucher plays. Of course, you want to flirt, but not past that line. Pillsy, one more prospect note, and then we'll wrap up the show today with our locked on lookout and key to victory for the Ottawa Senators tonight. 8:30 Eastern, puck drop in Colorado. Ridley Gregg had 2 goals and an assist this weekend. Can you guess how many shots on goal he had on Friday night?
7.
14 shots on goal.
Jesus
14
Christ.
shots on goal for Ridley Gregg against the Saskatoon Blades. They lose 2-1, and he scores the only goal. So
they lost.
Yeah, 2-1. He had the only goal.
Jeez, I mean, that's tough. But hey, that's a perfect tie-in there, Ross. Well done there, because that's what we're talking about. Like, Ridley Gregg gets a goal there. Sure, that's nice. And they lose the game. That's unfortunate. But he's doing what you want. He's creating chances. He's playing on the edge. He's the most dominant guy on that team. So that's what you want to see from these guys.
I just looked it up, Pillsy. Oh, no, that was the next game. I was going to say that he had I got to pull this up right now. This is too much because 14 shots. Like, how much percentage of his team shots do you think that was?
It's got to be 40%, somewhere around there.
The third,
because if he's getting all those shots, no one else is getting many.
No, that's just it. So why is it taking me so? Anyways, let's get on. I'll pull that up next time that we have a chance here. But the Senators in action, and that's the big story today. Like, I'm excited about my weekend, and this stat is absolutely banana lands. But the Ottawa Senators are playing a hockey game, and to me, that's just music to my ears because it's been so long without it.
Let's get into the lines first before we get into the game, Ross. I think there's some interesting spots here. Do you have the screenshot or no?
I don't, not today.
Here, I'll get it. You work your magic. I'll get it up here for the.
Well, why don't I start with my lookout player of the game when it comes to the Colorado Avalanche? I'm going back to a guy we just spoke about, and it's Samuel Girard, because I think transition is going to be a key to victory for each team tonight. And Sam Girard, that's his bread and butter. Something to watch for with Sam Girard. He loves doing the spinorama move out of his own zone. So if you can read that early, time it, you can pick it off and go the other way.
But that's a little guy knowing that's a way to evade checkers, right?
Exactly. But if you know it's coming, then it could work in your favor. So I'm really interested to see how Ottawa will forecheck tonight, because not only Girard, but this is a decor that's not the biggest in stature. So I think that you can maybe take advantage on the forecheck, and you're going to be tired. So you have to manufacture energy early in the game. And I think that's one way to do it is find the little guy out there, number 49, and hit him hard often. I mean, this is what teams do when they see Brandstrom in the lineup for Ottawa. Similar type player, Brandstrom and Girard. Girard, obviously, a little more NHL success, though.
Yes, yeah. Unfortunately for the Sens, that's the case. But, I mean, Brandstrom still got some time here. So, my lookout player, Ross, he's one of my favorite players in the entire league. I draft him every single year in all my fantasy leagues if I can, and it's Mikko Rantanen. I mean, this guy is just an absolute stud. Even without McKinnon, he's still able to produce. Ever since he's been drafted, he's been a mainstay on that top line for the Colorado Avalanche. He puts the puck in the net. He's just so graceful out there. Like, he's a guy where he can sneak in behind the play and you're not really aware of him. And then he's in the right spot at the right time and he's got a great shot. So with no McKinnon, he is the guy you need to be looking out on the Avalanche team, because Landeskog obviously is a great player, but he's more of a power forward, right? If you're looking for pure offensive talent, Rantanen is the real threat here, and I'm going to be looking out for him, I should say.
Well, there you go. A little Freudian slip. Who are you locked on to tonight for the Ottawa Senators?
Yeah, well, let's. I've got the screenshot here, Ross. So that's a little big, but for everyone watching on YouTube, here's the lines for Sunday's practice, and there's one guy that is the obvious answer, and if you're passing it to me, I'm going to take it, and that's Lassie Thompson. I mean, he's playing with Thomas Chabot on that top pair. DJ Smith said he's liked what he's seen from him in this short amount of time, and I think it makes the most sense to have him playing in that spot rather than down the lineup, and we haven't seen anyone other than Artem Zub be able to play comfortably with Chabot, and they want to mix up the Chabot-Zub to create some strength throughout the lineup there. So then you got Mete and Zub together. Then you got Holden and Josh Brown. So I want to see Thompson. He's going to get a chance to be up against some big, tough players in Colorado, and he's going to get the hard matchups along with Shabbat. This is going to be big for him because eventually, like we talked about, Ross, Zaitsev will be coming back, and we know DJ Smith's going to throw Zaitsev back into that lineup when he's back. So he doesn't have that much extra time here. So let's have a good game from Thompson tonight.
Yep, I would love to see it. 4th game of the year for Lassie Thompson coming off. Oh, right, we don't talk about that Calgary game. But for me, my locked on player is Tim Stützle. I don't know why they're trying him everywhere but center. As you heard Cheryl Pounder last week. Again, if you have missed that interview, go back, check it out. It was awesome to have Cheryl's insight on the show.
Good.
And
yep.
She thought that Stützle's perfect timing right now to try at center. Why not? But he's at right wing with Norris and Tkachuk. And that's going to be the line, I'd imagine, for this entire week with Drake Batherson not joining the team on this trip. So I need Timmy to continue because he was starting to feel it, right? That Pittsburgh game, maybe not his best, but then did finally get that goose egg off the goal count for this year. I need to see more of that. And I think that this road trip is the perfect time. Get away from Ottawa, get into a hotel. We know that his road stats are so much better than home in his entire career. I would love to see a big week from Tim Stützle. And I think that the opportunity right now is there for him playing top line minutes along with his obvious spot on the first power play unit. So I'm locked on Tim Stützle. And for my key to victory, it's an obvious one, but don't chase the game, because if you chase when you haven't played in 8 days, chances are you're going to run out of gas, and that can't happen for Ottawa. There's too much firepower on Colorado, and it's just not going to end well. I think if Ottawa gives up a goal in the first 10 minutes of the game, this could get ugly. This could be a 4 or 5 goal deficit. So keep it close. Don't end up chasing the game. Maybe play a little more conservative than you would, and away you go. Because if they can keep this, even if they keep it tied into the third period, I think that's a win for a first game back. And right now, starting a 4-game trip that has a back-to-back in California, like you're going through some tough teams right now. And it's crazy to say that with the Ducks and Kings, but they're both playing really well. You don't want to get to that Friday, Saturday back-to-back with low morale. No. Like at least be in these games against Colorado and San Jose, and then just see where the chips fall. And if they go 0-3-1 on this trip, I don't think that people can really hold it against them. I mean, you might see that. You might see that. I know it sounds so bad, but you might see that record without this COVID pause. And I don't think you can understate enough. Like 10 guys, Pilsy, 8 who are now in the lineup tonight haven't played in 10 days. Like I can't even remember last game they played. What was it, against Tampa? Like you're looking at like half the season they've missed so far.
Honestly, it's crazy. And yeah, just to touch on a couple things there. Yeah, like you said, if they get out to a bad start, they're screwed. And no pun intended, but we saw that Avalanche, that snowball roll down the hill and really gain speed up against the Kraken. They were up 7-0 up against the Seattle Kraken. 7 straight goals. So that can happen. Let's just be aware that can happen. And for my key to victory here, Ross, is kind of similar to yours, but play a simplified game. I don't want to see Tim Stützle in the defensive end doing a spinorama and putting the puck through his legs to make an outlet pass. Chip it off the boards and chase it. You're tired. You've been on the ice for more than a minute for your shift. Dump and change. Don't try to be
cut
a
that
hero.
In half, Pilsy. I cut that in half. Like 30 seconds in the altitude. Just get off.
Well, I mean, that's ideal, but a 30-second shift is hard to do. Like things need to work out. Like it's got to be kind of up the ice, down the ice, and you need to be able to change at a good time. And when you're up against the Colorado Avalanche, they don't always give you a good time to change, as you're often hemmed in your own zone.
I don't know if Thomas Chabot's had a shift under 30 seconds all year.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'd be willing. Well, no, because there's some like little weird
end of a
shifts,
period.
Exactly, but I'd be willing to bet like through the normal confines of a shift, there's no way he's done a 30-second shift. But my key to the game is going to be simplify. I want to see everybody finishing their checks. I want to see simple passes, not trying to force anything. If you have a lane, get that puck on net. I don't care if it's an amazing scoring chance. Try to create chaos, get bodies in front, just simple things. I'm not looking for a win here, Ross. I'm looking for the process and for guys to look like they're going to be coming back from this break doing all right, because Yeah, this is basically a schedule loss, and you want to be fresh and you want to be ready for those games that you think you can get W's in. And the Sharks, I definitely think that's a team that the Sens should be looking to beat. The Ducks, yeah, for sure. Especially they've had some injuries here. I think Comtois is out now, and one of their defensemen is out long term as well. And then the LA Kings, that's another one where you should be able to beat that team. You lost 2-0 before, but I think definitely you're kind of at the same weight class there with them. So there's some winnable games here if they can keep the process right and if they can get back to playing that style of hockey that DJ Smith has got them to buy into in those games where they're competitive and they're playing hard. So that's what I'm looking for here.
A busy week. Monday at Colorado, Wednesday at San Jose, Friday afternoon, Martin Luther King Day, Thanksgiving Day in the States. So it's an afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern game against Anaheim, and then back-to-back. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, all on the road. Not easy. Not easy at all. But if you're the Ottawa Senators right now, it's just getting back on the ice, feeling good about yourself, and maybe scoring an early goal to get that morale going. Like, oh, we can do this. Like, that'll be great because they have been shut out in 2 of their last 3 games, although we don't talk about one of them. That being said, just before we go, I did find the Ridley Gregg. I was tricked by Elite Prospects here. I know.
Bamboozled.
It said Friday the 19th. I looked it up, and it was actually last weekend that Ridley had 14 shots on goal. So this weekend, he had a goal and assist in the only game he played. Still good. 4 shots on goal. But in that game, Pilsy, he had 14 of the Brandon Wheat Kings' 46 shots. So still a lot of shots, but he still had a ton of them in that game. 14 shots on goal.
That's going to be close to a record. Yeah,
I can't remember seeing a time where a player's had that much offensive production in the game. Great to see him score, too. Imagine going 0 for 14 shots on goal.
That's tough for your shooting percentage. Yikes.
Yeah, is it ever? All right, well, big game tonight, I think, just from a standpoint of seeing hockey.
We're back.
We're back. Maybe a little rusty for us on the preview, but good thing we've got 4 more chances in the next week to get that all sorted out. Hope you enjoyed today's show. And again, if you can get back down to the Ralph in North Dakota, you have to do it. Unbelievable experience. And we'll be live tweeting when we get down there next month as well. But for today, we say goodbye. Of course, you can subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube and on Twitter at Sen Central, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.